Hey folks, this is James from All Hail Internal Combustion. I figured I'd do a little transmission type update on the 66 LeMans that we're working on. We got the transmission out of it, got it all cleaned up. This thing was covered in caked on grease and that brown clay soil dust and dirt and everything else, but I've pretty much got it cleaned up. I'd say 85%. Now this is a 66 LeMans and it's got a 2-speed transmission. So me not being familiar with 66s, I'm like, oh, it's a power glide. Well, actually, this thing is not a power glide. It's something called a Super Turbine 300 2-speed transmission that they used in a lot of Buick, Oldsmobile, and Pontiac applications. And what they did was, it can be called an ST300, 300 turbo hydromatic, or a jetway, but the jetway name is more geared toward this type of transmission, but on an older application. And the first thing you'll notice, it's got a 4-bolt tail shaft housing on it, which automatically means no, it's not a power glide, because power glides, from what I've seen, have 5-bolt tail shaft housings on them. So that's kind of what flew up the first flag, because I'm not familiar with these trannies at all. They don't really share too many parts with the Power Glide application. There's a few of them. I don't know what exact parts they share, but yeah. This thing's got a 1.76 to 1 first gear in it, and it's got a 1 to 1 high gear and a 276 reverse. And let me go ahead and flip this thing over, and I will show you the transmission pan, which is also very distinct on this motor. Be right back. Alright, so I got this thing flipped over on its side, and as you can see, it's kind of an odd shaped pan. It kind of looks a little turbo 350-ish, but it's more of a, comes to an arrowhead or a point on the rear of the pan. 14 bolts hold it on, and on these pans they've also got this little plate here, and that protects the vacuum modulator, which on this particular trans, as you can see, as compared to a lot of transmissions, this vacuum modulator is pretty big. So they've got that little protective plate on there, I guess, to protect you from just ripping it straight back off the rear of the transmission. So that's it. If you guys got an older mid-60s car and it's got a 2-speed transmission, don't do like I did and just assume it's a power glide. Look into these ST300s if your pan looks like this. They do make rebuild kits for them. They're not that expensive. So if you want to keep your car all original, you could pick a rebuild kit up for it and redo it. The adjustments on these seem to be really easy. You turn your bands in 3 turns when you rebuild the transmission, and that's where they say to set it to, so that sounds easy enough. We're going to end up keeping this in the car for now. Eventually Junior wants to put a T5 transmission into it, but there is nothing wrong with this transmission, so we're going to go ahead and clean it up and give it a nice coat of clear and put her back in the car and let her do her job. And as you can see on this one, they have these casting lines that run all down through it. I went ahead and removed that. There's a set of ears on the side of the transmission. I still have it on the other side. That little nub right there, the ear. I believe that's when they put these things together. They have something that grabs it at 3 points to let it marry the transmission. We don't need that anymore, so I'm just taking it off and cleaning it up and deburring it and make sure there's no sharp spots left on it. That way, if we ever have to work on the car, you don't have to worry about bleeding everywhere. We're going to do the same thing to the engine to clean everything up and deburr it and remove factory casting flash and all that stuff. So that was just a little simple update on this Super Turbine 300 transmission. Hope y'all have a good day. Seems like spring is here. Go outside and do something. This is James. All hail internal combustion. See you next time.